Today, I'll be making the strongest character in Fire Force. Now, be sure to like and subscribe because by the end of this video, our character will be even stronger than Shinra Bancho Man. Now, let's get started with the rules. The rule of this video is that we can only choose a character only one time. Such as if we were to pick Shinra for strength, we cannot pick him for any other traits such as speed or intelligence. And the second rule of this video is that we can choose one trait from Soul Eater, since Fire Force and Soul Eater do take place in the same universe. Now, let's get started with potential, and I'll be choosing Hamiya's potential for this trait. Hamiya is one of the deadliest members of the White Clad. Similar to Shinra and Sho, she is a third-generational pyrokinetic with a Adola burst that grants her even greater abilities than already impressive firepower of average third-gens. So now our character possesses the potential of Hamiya. The next trait for our character to have is a weapon, and I will be choosing Excalibur for this trait. This weapon is used by Arthur Boyle, and its strength fluctuates based on Arthur's perceived strength and the perceived strength of his opponents, allowing him to scale his power to seemingly infinite levels or be significantly weakened. It's also capable of manipulating space and can be used to cut through spatial rifts. This weapon was also used to break the surface of the moon and fight against dragons. So our character's weapon is Excalibur. The next trait for our character to have is Strength, and I'll be choosing Benimaru for this trait. Benimaru can easily overpower his opponents with his raw strength alone. In his clash with Hibachi, he was able to rock the ocean and create binding lights. He was also able to one-shot his doppelganger that was about to destroy the entire planet. He's also far stronger than characters such as Shinra and Arthur, so our character has the raw strength of Benimaru. The next trait for our character to have is Speed, and I have two candidates for this trait. The first trait is Ogun Montgomery. Ogun uses his pyrokinetics to power a skateboard which he uses to travel faster. This alone makes him faster than most characters in Fire Force, but his technique Flaming Ink makes him much faster. In this state, Ogun's stats are increased dramatically, causing his opponents to struggle when fighting him. And the next candidate for our character's speed is Shinra. Saying Shinra has faster than light speed is an understatement, as Shinra's speed is so fast that he can shatter time. And when he taps into Adola burst, his speed even goes immeasurable. Now, between these two, who am I going to choose? Well, I want to save Shinra for a later trait. So for this trait, I'll be choosing Ogun for our character's speed. The next trait for our character to have is durability, and I'll be choosing the guy that was inspired by Kaido himself, and that's Dragon. This absolute beast of a man was able to tank attacks from Benimaru, one of the strongest characters in Fire Force. His durability is so vast that he could survive being blasted into space by an energy beam equivalent to a nuclear bomb. His durability is so massive that even the White Clad had to recruit him instead of fight him. So our character has the durability of Dragon. The next trait for our character to have is Intelligence, and I have two candidates for this trait. The first candidate is Vulcan Joseph. Vulcan is renowned for his intelligence, particularly his exponentially engineering skills and knowledge. He is considered an expert in building, maintaining, and modifying equipment, often customizing it to the abilities of other Fire Force members. Vulcan's practice genius extends beyond mere repair, as he is able to create complex devices like the Iron Owls for Maki and utilize Arthur's plasma control for creating EMPs. The second candidate for this trait is Victor Licht. Victor Licht has used his intelligence to save his teammates multiple times. He can also break down pyrokinetic powers, as this was shown when he helped Shinra fight his brother Sho in the Netherworld arc. He is also able to use strategy to overcome his opponents. He demonstrates a strong understanding of infernal remains and chemistry, evidenced by his creation of his potential explosives. He can also analyze the abilities of others, even those he can't fully visualize. visualize. Now between Vulcan and Victor, I'm going to have to go with Victor Lick for this trait. The next trait for our character to have is Battle IQ, and I will be choosing Hinawa for this trait. Hinawa is described as one of the most gifted strategists in the entire series, coming up with incredibly effective battle plans. He excels at using his abilities, particularly his pyrokinesis, in combination with his marksmanship. His mastery of bullet speed control allows him to adjust the impact of his bullets. Trajectory control enables him to hit targets and from any angle, demonstrating his incredible precision and strategical thinking. A prime example of his quick thinking is his fight with Arrow in the Nether. Despite being at a disadvantage, Hinoa uses the velocity of her flames to locate and defeat her. So for this trait, I'll be choosing Hinawa for Battle IQ. The next trait for our character to have is Technology, and I will be choosing Vulcan Joseph for this trait. Now, I already said this intelligence, so I don't really need to say anything else more. So for our next trait is Regeneration, and I will be choosing Keiroko for our character's Regeneration. She can use her ignition ability to accelerate cell division, and by doing so, she can cure diseases, heal wounds, treat diverse symptoms, and in the case of treating someone who is a third generation, she can use their own flames to increase the time of regeneration and to eliminate their pain instantly. So our character now has the regeneration of Keiroko. The next trait for our character to have is Stamina, and I will be choosing Akitaru Obi. Captain Obi is known for his incredible stamina and strength, especially when motivated by danger. He can push himself beyond normal limits and is able to carry up to 30 kilograms of equipment. This strength is often described as hysterical strength, a state of heightened ability when facing threats. For an example, he was able to stay alive after weeks without eating during the fight between Shinra and Burns. So now our character has the stamina of Captain Obi. The next trait for our character to have is a generation. Now we have multiple generations to choose from, such as second generations, which are pyrokinetic users who can manipulate already existing flames. However, they cannot make their own flames. Unlike third generational pyrokinetic users who can make their own flames, however, their primary goal is to only make their own flames instead of controlling them. And fourth generation users are people who can both create flames and control their own flames, and their powers are evolved more through Grace in Adola bursts. So I'll be choosing a fourth generation user for our character. I'll just choose Sho for our character. The next trait for our character to have is Grace, and I will be choosing the Evangelist for our character's Grace. The Evangelist in Fire Force has the most authority over Adola, and by choosing this, our character has direct control over Adola, meaning they have almost infinite power. Also, all of our character's stats are now enhanced by Adola. So now our character has the Grace of the Evangelist. The next trait for our character to have is an Adola Burst, and I will be choosing Inca for this trait. Her Adola Burst is basically Ultra Instinct. It allows her to dodge attacks without thinking, and allows to see attacks before they happen. So our character's Adola Burst is Inca's. Now that we have an Adola Burst, it's time we need an Adola Link. Now, you might be asking yourself, what's the difference between an Adola Burst and an Adola Link? Well, the Adola Burst is the source of the power and ability, while Adola Link is the mechanism for accessing and utilizing that power. Think about it like this. The Adola Link is the gasoline, and the Adola Burst is the fire that ignites. And if you say that's just an Adola Grace, well, no. A Grace is what enhances the abilities, and an Adola Link is what we have access to. But enough of that, we need an Adola Link, and I will be choosing Tamaki's Nataku's Adola Link. Nataku's Adola Link is extremely powerful. His Adola Burst, fueled by the Link, allows him to create devastating fire sigils and radiation beams. He's essentially a radioactive pyrokinetic force capable of wiping out entire cities. So now our character has the Adola Link of Nataku. The next trait for our character to have is Flame Ignition, and I will be choosing Amaterasu for this trait. Amaterasu's Flame Ignition is incredibly powerful, surpassing typical flames. It's not just a fire that burns, but also a force that consumes and destroys everything it touches, until there's nothing left. Even even water can't extinguish it, and it burns other types of fires as well. Amaterasu is considered the first pillar and powers the entire Tokyo Empire, indicating a vast and potentially limitless supply of power. So our character now has the flame ignition of Amaterasu. Now that we have flame ignition, it's time we give our character some flame control. And I will be choosing Maki O's for this trait. Maki was also able to stop a flame that could have wiped out the entire Tokyo Empire. She's also able to create fire spirits which get stronger depending on the fire surrounding them. She's also able to nullify entire flames that are on a grand scale. So now our character has the flame control of Maki O's. The next trait for our character to have is a special ability, and I'll be choosing the creation ability from Shinra Banshoman. Shinra Banshoman is a god that is the fusion of Shinra, Sho, and their mother. This ability allows our character to use their imagination into reality, kind of like the visionary from Bleach, meaning our character could create almost anything through mere thought. Our character can even create gods through mere thought, meaning our character can create an army of gods to fight at their will. He also reshaped the entire universe to become the Soul Eater world. So our character's special ability is the creation ability from Shinra Banshoman. And the final trait for our character to have is race. And I'm going to choose my one-time rule card and pick someone from Soul Eater. And I'll be choosing Death's race, which is a Shinigami. Shinigamis possess significant power primarily related to their control over souls and their ability to manipulate death. They can collect, store, and even confiscate souls, and some Shinigamis have unique abilities related to their specific roles or positions. But since we chose death for our character's race, we've gained the abilities to control our own soul wavelength, creating new worlds and worlds within worlds, sealing powerful entities, and using mirrors for various purposes. So our character's race is a Shinigami. And there it is, the strongest character in Fire Force. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below on what your favorite character is in Fire Force. My favorite character is Sho.